What is going on, guys? Signal versus Noise podcast. Every day, I'm going to try to talk to you for a few minutes about, things you can do to dial into the signal and eliminate the noise. So, one of the biggest things is like learning to hear the signal, but it's probably easier to learn, especially if you're starting out, on how to get rid of the noise. Like, how do you identify noise and get rid of it? Well, nowadays there's noise everywhere. So some of the best ways that I've learned to do this and I've taught people is one, stop listening to music that is just ridiculous. So most music nowadays, I've noticed, I mean, this for 20 years, maybe more, is like, it's just noise. It's like the same thing over and over. All it's doing is polluting your mind, polluting the way you think, making you think something is real, a certain situation that is an idol or idealistic, or that if you could just get yourself in that situation nobody would know and it would make you feel good. Like, it's all just bull crap. So I mean, I'm not saying there isn't some good stuff out there. I mean, I have a playlist for my kids, I have certain things that I listen to, but I'm tuning in to the signal for me when it comes to music or content online that I consume. It's like it's stuff that's helping me get to where I need to go, so not becoming someone or remembering something that I was in the past. So like, even like when I listen to certain rap music from the 90s or from the whatevers, it's generally like, like sometimes I'll just be, I just need to chill and just unwind. That's, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, like, usually it's like about some lifestyle or something that I am trying to aspire to do or be, or both, and tuning in to something that is aligned with that versus like just randomly listening to somebody talk about something random. I'm not going to go out and, you know, get involved in promiscuous things, get involved in fighting and shooting people and killing people and doing drugs and drinking alcohol and hanging out and being a low life and pretending like that's the life, or trying to be, a gangbanger or whatever. Like, what I mean? It's retarded. So like, why would I put that in my mind all the time? And so you can think of that however you want, but that is one really big way that you can get like noise out of your mind and out of your brain and just out of your life. There's like, what do you listen to? When it comes to YouTube content, I have subscribed to YouTube University, as I call it, for 20 years. I don't know how whenever it started. Like, literally, we were producing YouTube videos. First year when it first came out, we were producing YouTube videos and putting them on there. I literally had people like making fun of me, like walking around the camera on a tripod, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, you trying to make like a TV show or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." Like, now all those clowns who used to make fun of me, now they all do it. So pretty funny. Literally, they all do it. What I do, like this morning, was working out. I get up at 5 in the morning, try to work out between 5:30 and 6:30, then get my day going. Try to get on the road to the office by 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. What I do, like this morning, I found somebody that I wanted to listen to, and I know this guy. I've actually known him personally. I have a cell phone number in my phone, so I've talked to him in the past. But I'm not like subscribed to him, and that is one thing. Like, I'm very careful with who I subscribe to. I unsubscribe from more people than I subscribe to almost every year. Like, my subscriber list is getting less and less and smaller, and my content consumption is getting more and more tuned into the signal for my life. But what I did with this guy was, I didn't want to listen to all this stuff, but he's a little bit like get rich quick, and that's just kind of the angle he uses. But there is some really good stuff that he has to say. So how do I find the signal, right? So number one, I didn't listen to, I considered listening to the video that I was fed through the news feed. But what I really do, and I like to do, I clicked on his profile on YouTube, went to his channel, then I clicked on videos, then I sorted it by most popular. Now I'm going to see the signal from the noise, right? But once I sort it like that, like, now I'm going to see, like, what is the signal from the noise? Like, what are the things that other people are listening to, the things that people are listening to for a long time. And I may not like all that stuff, but at least I've weeded out 95% of his content, and I'm listening to parts of his content that are really good. So then I realized his number one video that had like 2 million hits, I had seen that video before and I watched the whole thing. I want to tell you that by me doing that, see, I was tuned in to the same signal that I was tuned into before. Instead of like going through another video of his or something else, I remembered there was some really good stuff in there, and there was some stuff that I wanted to hear over again and kind of get in my mind this morning based on some things happening in business and life and family. So like, I was like, okay, let me listen to this. So once again, I was aligned to that signal before, got realigned with it today. I'm not saying you always have to listen to the same video, but that is like a little hack there. A huge one with books, okay? Dude, one of the most annoying things in my life is people talking about how many books they read, okay? It's like, dude, if you ever wrote a book, you would know exactly what I'm about to say. 90% of what goes into books is all noise, okay? Like, there's only like 5 or 10 golden nuggets that you're going to get out of any given book, okay? So that is the signal, okay? So like, you know, and sometimes a book may take a week to get through, 2 weeks to get through, depending on how big, how much time I'm putting on it, but it's consuming my mind and my mental space, right? But how could I actually tune into the signal, that's coming out of that book without having to take like a week or two or a 4-hour sit down or something like that, like without having to do that? Well, there's this app that I was at this this Ty Lopez event at his house like a number of years ago. There's a reason I went there, because I was trying to like learn something that he was doing. And the best way to learn it is just to buy into it and then like go to his house and see what he does and like ask him a couple questions. So that's what I did. Literally wasn't trying to be part of the program, all this stuff. I literally like wanted to know this system that he was doing. And I said, hey, I paid all this money, came all the way over here, and I wanted to ask you 3 questions. That's it. I'm not going to hit you up for all this other stuff. I'm just going to ask you these 3 questions. He's like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, that's actually pretty smart. I was like, hell yeah, it's smart. You think about, the return I'm going to get when you tell me this, and I would absolutely pay that to learn it right now. So let me ask you the questions. And literally, I asked him the questions and then like literally walked out the door. I took a picture and he's like, do you want to stay for the thing? No, dude, I got business, I got meetings, I got family. Like, I'm going to get on a plane and leave. Like, he's like, you're going to leave today? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm leaving at like 2:00. Like, so anyway, but, so that's another way to kind of like tune out all the noise. Like sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent one, but it's good. Like when you go to events and stuff, I don't go to events or I don't go to conferences I just don't have time to do all the hanging out and all this stuff and all the, I just don't have time for that. Like, now it's a different thing if I'm like in sales and trying to build networks and, that is different. Okay. But like some people go to conferences or go to these events, it's like a hangout and whatever. I mean, that's your thing. Great. But for me, I'm like, dude, I'm in and out. Like, I'm there for a reason. If I don't have a specific reason, it's not some signal I'm trying to dial into, probably not going. But one thing that I learned at that event, in the morning, somebody was giving a teaching on how to go through, actually Ty was giving a teaching on how to go through a book a day. He had said that like, it's kind of funny because he started promoting online that he actually read a book a day. Then he changed it to like, he didn't say he reads the whole book. He just says he reads a book a day, like meaning he reads something from a book a day. He goes, I actually did find a way to consume all the golden nuggets out of a book and do one a day. And he goes, I literally have been doing this for like over a year now. But he goes, I started doing this because I said this thing on social media and I had to like align my life with these words. And that's why I had to do this. He gave us this app. I think the app is like $75 a year. It's called Blinkist. 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 Blinkist is like Cliff Notes to books, but it's like deeper than Cliff Notes, and you can listen to it audibly. I was listening to, we were up here at the studio recording a podcast maybe like a month ago, and there was a guy, Chris Rude, on there, and he's like super sick at investing in real estate and all this stuff. So I didn't even know who this dude was. So like he rolls in, and I had looked him up and stuff, but to be honest, dude, how many investors do I know? Like, they're everywhere. Dude, this guy, like, he was really sick. Like, some of this the way he, like, moved money around and stuff. So I was like, man, this is super sick. So he mentioned this book, this tax prep book. Well, I looked it up, and I was like, I don't know if I want to read, like, 280 pages, 300 pages right now. Blinkist. Found it on Blinkist. I'm already subscribed. Dude, I've listened to that book, like, 6 times. Like, I've gotten the gold out of that book, like, and it's like programmed into my head, and I've done it while I'm driving or while I'm working out. You know what I'm saying? That is a major hack to dialing into the signal and forgetting the noise. Because this is the thing. If you ever wrote a book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. you're like, man, how do I come up with more pages? How do I make these chapters longer? It's like, dude, I don't want all the elaboration. I just need to know the damn hack. Like, what is it that you do? That's how I really roll. Okay. So Blinkist is one. You know, like we're in a mastermind right now, learning like all this cool AI stuff. And we're I think I mentioned this on the show before. We're with this guy, Gustin. On these calls and all this stuff, like it's 90% noise. Now the signal is going to be a little bit different for everybody, okay, depending on where you're at and what you're doing. But for me, there's just like mostly all noise. How can you find the signal in the noise? Well, number one, AI notes and stuff like that, like looking at the summaries, that's one really good way. Number two, a lot of times I'll just try to get a little bit of access to the person leading it where I can ask them some questions, and I'll say, hey, I'm one of those people, like, I'm not going to get on every one of your calls, ask you a bunch of questions, and make you hate the fact that I spent this X amount of thousands of dollars, like, because I'm burning up your time and all this stuff. I was like, dude, I'm literally the type of person that you'll never hear from me again. We can be friends and all this stuff, but like, I need to ask you like 5 questions or 3 questions. So I'll get those questions, bring it to them. So that's exactly what I did for this. I sent my buddy Gustin, who's running the mastermind. Once I kind of understood what the strategy was of what we were building, I sent him a voice note on WhatsApp. And then he responded to me, he said, yes, you can do this. He told me how to do it. He's like, hey, take this audio file that you just did, plug it in ChatGPT, like do this and that. And that's how you can get started on this, blah, blah, blah. And literally, like, he sent me like a 3-minute message back. Well, dude, that literally was worth all the coaching right there for me. Okay. Because I'm an implementer, because I'm an operator, like I'm an action taker. So I don't need all the steps. I don't need to get on and get chummy with everybody. Like I can totally do that. Like, it's funny because I can totally do that. I love doing that to some degree as well. One thing that I've been talking a lot about or listening to my boy Jay Miller talk about is like, dude, I got no time for friends. I only got time for allies. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that is another way to dial in the signal is like, you ain't got time to make friends with people. You only got time for allies. And that's just a different way to think about friendships. So like, there's all these people on these calls or even all these people on this mastermind, but dude, really, I'm looking for allies. Like who do I have strategic alignment with? So there was one person that somebody on the call had mentioned that like this person is kind of like 20 steps ahead of where I'm at with our Clawbot stuff. So like with our bot stuff, this person's kind of like been down the road before. So that was like one person in the group that I will reach out to, see if that person has time. Once again, I'll get my thoughts together, ask him some questions and see if there's some alignment there, him to help me, or maybe he'll just help me as a bro. Cause I really just need some information. Signal versus noise. I could literally do what most people do. I could be wasting hours and hours a week, hours and hours a month on something like this, hours and hours a month memorizing these ridiculous songs that will never ever move the needle in my life or my family or my business. I could literally be just watching random YouTube videos, just entertaining myself. I could, you know what I'm saying? I could literally just like, oh man, let me buy this book. Oh yeah, I got this book finally a couple days later. Now let me dedicate all this time to go through it, you know, but I'm just saying, like, signal versus noise. So do whatever you want, do whatever makes sense for you. I'm not telling you how to do it, just telling you what works for me. So hopefully you got something out of this, guys. At the end of the day, let's be the people that are tuning into the signal and drowning out the noise. The last one I'm going to give you, watch out for news reports, news channels. Dude, you want to talk about noise, this is where it lives. Okay. Like, I am a conservative, I am a Christian, I am a capitalist. I have no issue saying that. But that does not mean that every time somebody says something who's a Republican or who's a middle this or that or this party or that, dude, noise. This is a really good example, okay? Something that is happening to you, something that's happening in the world that you don't live by. You don't know the people. You don't know what's involved. You don't know the details. You'll never know the details. You'll never know these people. You'll never be in that country. Like, dude, who the hell cares? Okay? Like, who the hell cares? Like, Why are people tuning into stuff and like getting all this stuff in their mind, all these emotions and all these thoughts of, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about that war? What, motherfucker, I don't live over there. What the hell are you talking about, bro? All I know is I'm on this road right now, bro. I care about the person I'm going to meet at the coffee shop or my customers or my family. Dude, why don't you ask those questions about your family? Why don't you ask those questions about your allies? Why don't you, you know what I'm saying? It's like, people worry about stuff and they get all involved in stuff and they get so this is what's happened with connectivity. Man, I started preaching this like 15 years ago, exactly what I'm telling you right now. Like, people will become involved in things that they know nothing about, they are not an expert in. They think they're an expert in it because they have a doctorate or a lawyer degree or they have a YouTube channel or whatever, and they're going to talk about all this stuff. And then somebody will call them an expert or someone will call them a whatever, and it's like, dude, they're just a commentator. Do I subscribe to all the conservative podcasters? No. Do I subscribe to all the, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's still noise. You know what I'm saying? It's still noise. In fact, I prefer to listen to people who push middle ground. Like, because at the end of the day, like, I have my belief, I have what I think, but I want to know, like, the only way you ever get better at something, this is true through psychology, through sports, through anything. The only way you're going to get better is involvement of the devil's advocate. That is the only way you get better. Okay. That's why the devil is in the Bible. That's why Jesus talked about the devil. Like, if you don't have devil's advocate and all you have is a bunch of people around you, or all your, sources are just like all the same stuff, it's all noise, man. Trust me. It's all noise. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow.